Hello, how are you? Well, many people seem to enjoy the October weather, I guess. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, and also good food, of course. It's a harvest time. Uh, I think we studied a word harvest 2 weeks ago, I guess. Do you remember what is that? Harvest. If you haven't known about it or if you forgot, okay, go back to 2 weeks ago, clip and review it. Today's idioms, the first one is, yes, to give in. It means to surrender. For example, let's say, yes, Ukraine under such poor condition, seems like it had even stand a chance winning over Russia at the beginning. But Ukraine did not give in to Russia. It has not. So it means it didn't surrender. Okay. Next sentence, okay. Let's say, sometimes involved in words, of course, it was a sign, I think, traditionally. I don't know if they use it still today, but if people show that they're surrounded, they decided to give in to another country or group which they were fighting against, show the white flag. It means surrender. And contrary to that, if some people start showing the red flag, that means they won the war or something like that. Okay, so that's to give in. The next idiom is to give off. That means to release or produce. Okay, for example, when we boil water, it gives off steam at nearly 100 degrees Celsius, right? Okay, next sentence, for example, the flowers look like Margaret to me, gave off a strange odor, like dogs on rainy days. And I was surprised. Some people probably feel kind of a disgusting or they found it offensive smell. But for me, oh my goodness, they smell like a dog's on rainy days. So I kind of enjoyed it. Okay. And I don't know the name of the flowers, but they looked like a white Margaret kind of flowers. Okay. Now, next idiom is to give out. It has kind of like two different meanings. One is to distribute something for some people. The other one is to become exhausted or terminate. For example, when I was an usher of church that I used to go in the United States, I used to give out programs at the church door. or in the front of the church building. It's sometimes you can see those little programs printed out, handouts, a pamphlet, a booklet, or whatever, a piece of paper sometimes. You receive them at the funeral, church services, weddings, or some kind of meetings or something like that. And there are people who give out those brochures or printed matters. Also, when you go to a music concert, there are people who collect your ticket and check it out, the number, and also they tear the ticket from you. Then also you ended up receiving a lot of printed matter, which is usually the commercial or a promotion of other concerts, especially in classical music. And the people who are standing at the gate, they are giving out the brochures or booklets or programs, right? So that's one of the give out. Another one is to exhausted or become exhausted or terminate instead of distribution. Okay, for example, okay, my plans were to stay in Europe and meet as many friends as possible until my money gave out. So that means until all my money is gone. That's what I did before I moved to Australia from France. That was years ago. And boy, was I young. No, I didn't think about, or I even didn't worry about my future at that time. Just whatever I thought it would be a nice idea, I just made them into actions. And that was my teenager and early 20s. And that's the wonderful thing about being young. Security, that's secondary. Well, education, that's a secondary. Young people want to have experiences, a lot of tries. Wanted to see how much you can take care of yourself by yourself alone. Yes, and that's what I did. And look what that person turned it to be here. Okay, today's words. The first one is, okay, absorb. It means like take in or suck up, especially liquid, or interest greatly. For example, okay, the waiters used sponges, pieces of sponge, to absorb the spilled wine on the counter, which, okay, was leaked from the keg, I would say. So the sponge liquid gets observed like that. Or I used to absorb in what teachers saying in class, or some researching things. I would read encyclopedias, dictionaries, books, newspapers, and I used to be able to observe all those knowledge into my brain, memorize them or understand them instantly and become part of me. And I could use that kind of knowledge very quickly. But that kind of thing doesn't happen to me anymore. My goodness. I guess aging probably stopped doing that. But when I was young, it was so much easier. Or I would say it was pretty natural. That would have been nice if it happens again to me. Don't you think? Would you like to do that for yourself? Another word. Okay. Estimate or estimate. Well, estimate would be a verb pronunciation. Estimate is a noun. It means from judgment to opinion about or the guess. So estimate means to guess or judge from after looking at them or checking out something. And estimate would be the document of that or things writing down what the condition is all about. Usually comes in a form. For example, let's say, okay, the electrical engineer estimated what the new air conditioners to set up would cost about 500,000 yen totally. So I asked him to make out the estimate and send it to the owner of my apartment. Unfortunately, so far, nothing has happened. But then summer is going away. So I'm going to have to wait until next summer comes. But hopefully, I will have the new air conditioners installed in the 2 rooms, which broke down this past summer. And I had a very difficult time dealing with that hot weather without air conditioners. Feel sorry for me, okay? All right. So that's all for today. Take care of yourself and enjoy, if you like, the autumnal weather. See you next week. Aloha.